Welcome to the StockOptionsAssassin.com's weekly video for swing trading options. Today is Friday, May 4th, 2012, and we're looking at the market today. And basically, we fell off the cliff after the jobs report this morning. Expectations came in lower than expected. This was sort of flagged earlier on Wednesday when ADP numbers were less than expected. So, not very surprised that this happened. We were actually I was actually positioned for this, and I took that. We were talking with our members, and yesterday I sent a message to our members that I grabbed some IWM puts. I grabbed some May contracts and June contracts. Let's look at the IWM real quick. It is the weaker of the indexes. So yesterday we grabbed some IWM puts, small position, just kind of looking for a bad jobs report. That played out well. We closed the May puts today. Had a nice gain in that. We're going to hold. I'm going to hold the June puts probably through next week, and let's just kind of see where this market takes us. So the IWM is much weaker than the rest of the bunch, and you can see that we kind of have this large potential head and shoulders here, but we'll see if that plays out next week. If this breaks the neckline around the $78 area, then we would look for a move back down closer to, let me bring in the averages real quick, closer to the 75 area, which is about the 200-day moving average. So that's the plan for the IWM play. Let's look at the SPY real quick, and also to our members, I've been talking about this trend line. This is the October 4th low from last year. We've hit it once, twice, and then you can see we did come back to it. We broke down, and then we basically, now this trend line is basically new resistance. And we came back above here, and I've been pointing this out to our members. And, we're looking for, we're trying to see if this support was going to hold today, but the jobs report came out, and basically, we've broken down. So the next target on the downside, I think we're going to probably get to this pivot. I think there's going to be strong support here, and this is about 134. 134.50 on the SPY. I would expect a bounce, but prior to that, I'm going to switch to the cash index. Prior to that, I would not be surprised if early next week we got a little bounce, maybe 1 or 2 days early in the week, and then we break down. So what I'm looking to do is short rallies at this point, and we maybe will get that in the SPY. And also, I'm actually just sort of considering buying puts on the SPY, and I am looking at June options at this point. So let's look at a couple plays that we might want to look at next week. One of them is USO. USO had a monster drop today. I mean, there was some news earlier in the week about inventories were very high, and then now that we have the weaker economic data showing potential slowdown in the U.S., oil just kind of it was down 4% today. So if you look at the USO, which I'm using as a proxy for oil, you can see we got to the 200-day moving average, and I think we're going to bounce from here. The question is, how big is the bounce going to be? So what I would look for next week, I'm not in this, but I think I would prefer to do a credit put spread or a bull put spread on this, and I'd probably look at something like the 36-34, and we'll see how the week opens next week. But if we get a little kind of sideways consolidation here for a day or so, I would look to put this on as early as possibly Monday or Tuesday. If we start to kind of bear flag like this, like early in the week, where we start getting, candles up within this candle, I would probably hold off on that, because that's, if we set up for a bear flag and then we push down, that would go against our position. I don't want to play, straight up calls on this, but I think selling some put spreads here makes sense, and I would actually look at the May put spreads because we have 14. Well, as next week it'll be 12 days left, so we'll have to see what the premium is going for at that point. Another play I'm interested in is TLT, which is kind of inverse to the market. It's sort of a safety play. I would look for TLT to the long side, and the setup I would look for here, I would actually look at buying some calls. I would actually look for some early weakness in the next week, and look for a potential pullback to about the 20-day moving average. Let me bring in the 13-day with that. Yeah, that kind of coincides with the 13-day as well. Around the 117, maybe 117 and a quarter area, I would look at some June calls. Let's look at the chain here real quick. I have it on vertical. Here we go. I would probably look for a delta of 70 on the June calls. So you're probably looking at somewhere around the June 116 calls. So if we do get a pullback next week, let's go ahead and just, theoretically price these for Monday, 5th, 6th. The 7th is Monday. So if we did pull back to, let's just say 117, we're at 118.14. So let's say we get a dollar pullback. What you can do here is go in and we just kind of say, okay, if the stock price drops by $1, then these calls would be worth about $2, theoretical price, about $2.44. So, I would look to potentially get in those early in the week for, let's just say, $2.50. And these have they're kind of in the money, so you have some intrinsic value here. And you don't have a lot of time decay, which is, important. So I would look for a move to sort of retest. These are very clear targets here. You have the this pivot here. Let me change my tool real quick. You have this pivot. This would be kind of first target, which is around 119.20. Second target, at that point, I would probably take it off, but I would look for a move up there. But I would actually wait for a small pullback first. So you do have this little gap that happened today. So maybe you come back to 117.47, or potentially the gap fills 117.23. You could even potentially scale in a little bit here and then a little bit at the 13-day EMA. So those are some of the things I'm looking at for next week. Some major players really broke down today, and a couple of the names that I had been kind of watching on the long side was Intel. And Intel was kind of holding up pretty well, but it had a huge outside reversal day yesterday, very bearish engulfing candle. Had a follow through today. We are going to get to the 50-day probably, but we might get a little bounce before heading lower. I do not want to short Intel, but again, actually, obviously we're not going to get long as well. I think IBM is one of the stronger of the stocks as well, and we'll see if these moving averages can hold. A couple other names that we had been short. Caterpillar is actually going to run. I think we're going to make a run to the 200-day moving average here. And, I would actually look for a potential bounce. I don't know that I would want to short Caterpillar anymore because we are at some heavy, this is going to act as heavy support around this $98 area. So I would actually look at potential bull put spreads as well on Caterpillar, but let's see how next week opens. So if you guys have any questions, let us know, and we'll see you next week. Hello.